Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, this space reserved for exciting news from the Pokemon Presents. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including Red Dead Redemption coming to the Nintendo Switch. And then on Thursday, we're celebrating the Oracle games with our favorite Nintendo duos. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. Did you have any pets growing up?
Yes, we had a dog. Her name was Jetta. She was a cocker. She was like a black and white cocker spaniel mutt, and she was the best.
How did were you not allergic? Because you're allergic to cats.
I'm allergic to cats.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
I'm not allergic to dogs.
How did you learn that you were allergic to cats?
Anytime I would be within the home of a cat, my eyes would water and my throat get scratchy. It's having an allergy to something is I think one of the things where like you don't need to there's no you don't find out, you just like know. You just like always are allergic to cats.
Yeah, I have like a tree. I say tree nut allergy, but I don't know if that's actually.
No one used that against him.
Yeah, that's right. I'm giving my enemies ammunition.
That's right.
But I have but I don't. It's not like I'm allergic. Is there a thing called tree nuts that is a nut? Because I'm not allergic.
As an allergy sufferer, you should know if there is
such
a
I
thing
should.
as what the thing
I
you're
should.
allergic
Well, because
to.
I feel like you're like sometimes you look on a menu,
Yeah.
and it's like blah 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 tree nuts.
Right.
And it's like, okay, but aren't all nuts tree nuts?
Oh boy, you're asking big questions now. Because like there are some things that we refer to as nuts that are not nuts, right? Like a cashew is not a nut.
I don't know about cashews. A peanut is not a nut for sure.
A peanut is definitely not a nut. I feel like a cashew is just like a peanut by another name.
Okay, well, see, this is where if that is true,
Can you
which
eat
it
a
might
cashew?
be, I can't. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But some I've like more violent reactions to others. But my husband and I went to a restaurant once. Yeah, like I sweat. Like the worst reaction I've ever had. I put a Brazil nut to my lips, and the moment it touched my lips, I was like, uh-oh, because I could feel it tingling.
Yeah.
And I ended up like getting a rash all over my body, and I swelled up, and I looked like Janice from the Muppets.
Yeah. Because your hair also gets very long and blonde.
There's pros and cons to
Right,
the allergic reaction for sure. Yeah.
A cashew is a snack nut. Trying to determine, maybe cashew is a nut.
I think it might be.
Man, cashews look weird in the wild.
There are some things that were only meant to see processed and on store shelves.
That's right. Look, if it's not part of like a can of mixed nuts, like an old-fashioned can, you gotta like pull back the thing. I'm not interested in dealing with it. So what do you take any like precautions? Do you carry like an EpiPen?
I don't carry an EpiPen. No, I don't. Now that we're talking about this out loud, again, just giving my enemies more ammunition.
Right.
No, I don't.
But also your allies, giving your allies some ammunition. Have an EpiPen.
Yeah, that's right.
I can pack my bag with one of those.
No, I don't. But my husband and I were at a restaurant. This was like last Christmas, and it was like one of those like set menus, and they were like no substitutions, but I was like, yeah, but they don't actually like mean it. And so and Brazil nut, like some like Brazil nut like sauce or reduction was on there. And so I was like, oh, I like am fine with everything like except like this thing that's on the menu.
Right.
And so they're like, no problem. And then they bring out the food, and they're like, set my husband's plate down, and they're like, we have like this, and this. And then for me, they like set the plate down, and it's like missing a bunch of stuff. And they were just like, we don't have anything for you.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, there was no apology.
Oh, okay. All right. It can be funny when like you order something at a restaurant or like say like, oh, but I don't eat whatever, for whatever those restrictions are. And then like when something goes on the plate and they like try to get away with it, and you're like, there was a time that Sarah and I were at a diner, and she asked for a side of broccoli, and what arrived, so like her meal was on like one plate, and then on a separate dinner plate was a single enormous piece of broccoli with maybe 6 inches of stalk just on the plate. And like it had been steamed or cooked or something, but like, what is that? And they just like put it down and we're like, if you would like to support us so we don't have to eat a plate of one giant piece of broccoli, because what's the implication there? That that's cheaper? Or anyway, if you would like to support us, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where you can support us at the 4-bit, 8-bit, or 16-bit levels. If you are at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you have access to our monthly mini-series episodes. We talked about detective shows on NCS Detective Club. We are currently talking about musicals on NCS Goes Broadway, a new episode of which just went live over the weekend, where we are talking about the last 5 years.
That's right. We're already plotting our next episode.
We're plotting and scheming, and it's going to be a big look. Last 5 years, a small show.
Yep.
And also, like, if you want to get into, it's not drama necessarily, but like we made an attempt at recording that episode, failed, had to do a second take.
Yep, that's right.
If you want to find out why, you got to get in and listen to the episode. We get into it there. But the next episode that we do will be big.
And thank you so much to all of our supporters. We appreciate it so much. And thank you to everyone who listens.
Yes.
And if you are a listener, which is how you're hearing the sound of my voice right now, and you want to join our Discord, you can.
All you got to do is email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
We will send you an invitation to the Discord. Those links that I send when I email you back are limited time access. We don't want them just like floating around forever. So if you miss that window, please feel free to just email me back and say, hey, I missed it, send another. Excuse me. Hey, I missed it, send another one. And I will. It doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't inconvenience me.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Also, a lot of fun discussion in the Discord about all things Nintendo.
Yes.
And also some things not Nintendo with a really good group of people.
Really good group of people. If you are into like Splatoon, there's a lot of Splatoon talk going on there. There's a Pokemon Presents tomorrow morning. I imagine people will be in there talking about what's been introduced there. It is just when it's my go-to stop now when there's Nintendo news. So we can all mix it up and have a good time trying to figure out what Nintendo's up to. Because, hey, it's not always easy. They're a weird company. All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. Now, I know that we recorded a whole Tears of the Kingdom spoiler cast last week with Matt Apodaca. Great episode. Check it out if you've finished Tears of the Kingdom. But Mark, I can't stop playing.
Oh, you're
this game.
you're not able to put it away.
I'm not able to put it away because here's the thing. Like maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, something recently, I discovered that if you fully upgrade the glide armor, you can slam into the ground at full speed and suffer no ill consequences. And there is nothing I want more than to jump off of a sky island, dive nonstop through Hyrule into the depths, and just land.
It's still so crazy you can do that.
It is nuts, yes. Usually there'll be like some sort of like stuttering or hiccup or whatever, but like it can be done. And I'm so close now. I think I need 3 more Gleeok wings, and each Gleeok has like 4 or 5 wings. But you know, I went through my whole harvesting Aracuda eyeballs phase, and Gibdo wings, and I found where you can fight more flying Gibdos after clearing the Thunder Temple. And now I'm just there was on Saturday afternoon. Sarah and I were just like hanging out on the couch. She was doing some stuff for work, and I was like, I'm gonna hunt Gleeoks, and I was like, Sarah, fire, ice, or lightning? And she was like, lightning, and I was like, all right. So I went to the Coliseum to fight that lightning guy, and I was like, okay, got him. Now what? And she's like, ice, and I was like, all right, up to the Hebra Highlands. I'm gonna fight that one that's flying over. And then went and did the fire one on the bridge. But yeah, I'm in Gleeok hunting mode right now.
That's amazing. Are you at the point where like Gleeoks do Gleeoks still pose a challenge, or
Yeah, I mean, I still need to do a little bit of fusing before I go into the
Yeah.
fight. I still have to make sure that I've got some good eyeballs of some kind or another to
Makes
take
a
out the
huge
heads.
difference.
Makes a huge difference. And I still usually make sure that I've got a 5 banana meal to triple up my combat. But like beyond that, I'm kind of just like I can kind of just do them.
Do you have to wait? Or I'm assuming Gleeoks respawn with the Blood Moon like everything else.
I assume they do too. I mean, I've killed those 3, and then I was like, all right, I'm kind of sick of fighting Gleeoks for a while because I like those are the 3 that I know about for sure, and then there's the 3 King Gleeoks in
Yeah.
the sky, and they're just as good as fighting any other Gleeok, but they're like take so much longer to get to.
Oh yeah.
That I was just like, I don't. And what I should do is I should just drop those portals up there so I can teleport back to them.
Oh right. There's a Thunder Gleeok over by the Zora Kingdom, kind of. Because that's the first Gleeok that I encountered.
Yeah.
Was I was up in the Zora Kingdom, like how up on the top of the waterfalls.
Yeah.
And there was a tower.
Oh yeah.
To like the west of it, and so I was like, I'm gonna like head over that way. And so I headed over that way.
He's flying
There's
around,
like a cat. I think he's on. There's a kind of like a cat, like ruins of like a tower, like
Okay.
castle that's on the side of the mountain, and he's like on a bridge that's
he's
or
like-
like part of a bridge.
Yeah,
that's
it's like an
jutting
outcropping.
out.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
and so that's the first Gleeok I encountered in the game. And I remember I was like Paris or like using my sail
Yeah.
to get like over there, and then he like clocked me,
Right.
and so like the
Oh no.
yes, exactly, because I was not at that point like at a level
Yeah.
where I was ready to take on a Gleeok, but like the clouds like rolled in, and the Gleeok health bar showed up at the
Yeah.
top, and it was very scary.
Yeah, they can be intimidating. I was gonna say early on, but really anytime before like 100 hours in, they can really wreck shop for you. Yeah, I feel like I should be more knowledgeable about where all the Gleeoks are. Because there is one flying around like on the far west side of the map, like on the other side of Zora's domain, and maybe he's a fire one.
Yeah, I didn't end up fighting that many Gleeoks. So that leads me to another question.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the Colosseum at some point in the game, saw that there was a lightning Gleeok, thunder Gleeok, and I was like, oh, I'll come back to this, but never did. Because in Breath of the Wild, like the Colosseum was like there was a successive number of Lynels.
Right.
And is that the case here, or it's just like one Gleeok and then like there's no
It
like
was just
next
one
phase?
Gleeok and it's over.
Yeah.
But like, and it's interesting to fight him in there because it is an enclosed space, and most of the Gleeoks are not like that, right? Like there's there's a lot of different places you can go, and it actually made him kind of easy because he's a Thunder Gleeok, so when he does the thing where he goes like high up, he sends down these like bolts of lightning, which then create like updrafts. But you can just like you're in the Colosseum, so you just kind of like go under an outcropping, and then the lightning can't get you. And
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, cool. Because like a fire one can shoot fireballs at you, and like those are hard to hide from. But yeah, it's just the Colosseum gives you a lot of cover. The floating Colosseum in the depths does the what were we just talking? Lionel, the successive.
Oh, interesting.
series
I
of
never
Lionels.
I never like found that. I never encountered that.
You got to do that to get Majora's Mask.
Which I like again. There's so many armors in
Got
the
it,
game that
got
I
it.
never got.
Got that Majora's Mask.
Well, so I finished Breath of the Wild, or like defeated Ganondorf.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh yeah, Tears of
Right.
the Kingdom, and defeated Ganondorf like about a week ago now, and like kind of like what I thought would happen. I have not turned on the game
fire
since.
has gone out of your eyes.
Yeah, like it was like, oh, like I did feel like there was some desire to be like, I should like go back in and get some of like the shrines I haven't gotten and all that kind of stuff. But I was, I think, ready. I loved the game, but I was ready to move on.
Yeah.
And so I ended up picking up Oxenfree.
Right, which you had started last week.
Yes, and I finished it. I finished one like loop. And it's not like one playthrough. It's definitely a game that encourages you. It makes sense to play it more than once. But I it's not that long. I would say it takes about maybe like 3.5, 4 hours. That's not getting like all the collectibles and everything. So I'm sure there's stuff. I know that there's stuff that I didn't see, but I really liked it. But it is very much just like you walking from place to place and then having conversations with people like while you're doing that.
Ugh, that's like life.
And it was one of those things where it's like when I finished it, I was like, "Oh, that was cool. I'm really glad I experienced that." But if I were to go in and do it again, like I would want to play on PC where I'm sure there's a mod or something where I can play it at like 1.5 or 2 times speed.
Sure, yeah.
Because even when I was playing it the first time, even though the game is like you're walking around and you're like getting there is the whole point. And so the fact that people are or getting there is like you're just going from destination to destination so you could have more conversations with people.
Yeah.
And so the part of the reason why you can't move that quickly is because you have to have those conversations or there is no game. And yet I still want the ability to like speed up the process.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do feel like in a lot of ways, video games don't take the note of "don't waste my time." Like even my favorite video games, when I'm playing them, there are frequently things that just waste my time. Where it's like, why does it take so long for me to walk to this thing when like the game knows and I know that that's what's going to happen next.
Right.
So like, why are we doing this? What is this dance here?
Yeah. And so, like, I know Oxenfree 2 just came out, and I feel like I will play it someday. I'm just not, like, super excited to jump into it immediately.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of searching for the next thing I'm going to play.
Searching for the next big thing.
Yeah, because looking at the release calendar, it's not until October with Super Mario Brothers Wonder
Yes.
that we kind of get that next big Nintendo first-party game. So I picked up, have not started yet, but I think I'm committing to playing, or at least starting, Chrono Cross, which I've never played before.
A lot of bet hedging in there. I think I'm starting, or at least committing to starting. Chrono Cross, very exciting.
Yeah.
The Radical Dreamers edition that's available,
which is on sale right now. I think it was like $12 or something.
Part of that Square Enix sale.
Yeah.
That saw games go on sale that had not previously been on sale. I'm very interested to hear what your experience of it will be like since the like performance improvement patch. I did jump into it and do like a couple fights to like test it at the time, and I remember it feeling better. But I didn't go into like there were some. I went into like one of the main towers when I was playing through. And like was just getting like abysmal frame rates, and so I hope that has all been fixed for you.
Does this version, does the Radical Dreamers edition have the ability to like play at 1.5 times speed or anything
yes,
like
it does,
that?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, well, and it's more than 1.5 times. It's like 4 times speed.
Oh, okay.
But it's something that you can like activate on the fly.
Oh, okay.
So I found myself frequently in battles turning it on. Because just like I don't need to see the animation for this like fire spell again, it had just happened so many times.
But yeah, I'm really excited to check it out.
And then at some point we gotta look if we're living in like a fallow period here, that Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Right. Like at some point we will hear its siren song, and I saw you just like stick on it there because we also had a Disney Illusion Island.
Yes. And that one for sure I want to play.
We're a couple of Disney freaks, Mark. Why haven't we picked up both these games yet?
I
what a Disney Speedstorm.
I know.
We should do a Disney trilogy and just like get them all.
We should. I mean, we should. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, let's stop denying ourselves what is so obviously the thing we want to play. Speaking of not denying myself the thing that I so obviously want to play, Sarah and I keep playing Super Mario 3D World from our last weekend adventure of doing the dual screen experience so we could finish Secret Invasion. Which again, still not worth it. I'm glad we don't have to watch it anymore. So she was playing again this weekend, and I like dipped in from time to time to help her. And we did enough stuff to access the final area with So there are 3 things in that final area, right? There's the hardest Captain Toad level, which we kind of just skipped over. There's the like Mystery House, which is those like series of like 10-second challenges where there are 30 stars in it. We did it on the first try because we've done it so many times. And then we popped into the Champions Road, the hardest level in the game, and not an immediate success, but like 20 minutes later, we had it beat.
That's so amazing to me because I remember the first time you guys were trying to beat
Yeah.
it, and now it's almost just like routine.
It is almost routine, but I gotta say, really enforces to me that that's like my favorite Mario level, period. Like, it's so, when you know it, it's like ballet, where you're like, where it's like seeing the Matrix, right? Where you're like, I know this is a regular jump here, this is a regular jump here, this is a long jump, but it's shorter than a normal long, so I gotta like pull back halfway through, and then like all this kind of stuff. I don't know, it makes me feel so good to play that level.
That's awesome. So when you are doing one of these like playthroughs, do you start from the very beginning, like fresh file
yeah.
and all that?
Yep. Yeah, so I don't know, this is like fourth time through Super Mario 3D World. What can I say? It's a good game. Perhaps we should then dip into Bowser's Fury again.
Oh yeah,
it's a game I've not really touched since the weekend it came out.
And you can technically play that in co-op, right? With somebody being Bowser Jr.
Oh yeah, I don't even know what that's like.
Yeah, I've never played it that way.
Okay, well that's something to consider. All right, well that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week. Or will we?
Yeah. End of show.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I think I maybe, sort of, probably, almost might commit to playing Chrono Cross instead of anything coming out this week because there's not
there's
really
not a lot. I mean,
anything.
Today WrestleQuest is coming out. That's like a wrestling.
I actually think I just saw it before we started recording that got delayed until later this month. So
Okay, well then never mind.
I don't even think
there's just
WrestleQuest
nothing.
is coming
Then
out.
there's just nothing coming out.
Yeah.
Although look, we got this Pokemon Presents in the morning. They could be. Although that would usually just be a like. It's a 3.5-year anniversary of a mobile game. Is what I'm expecting from that. But who knows, Mark? So yeah, not a lot of exciting stuff in the new releases this week. What do you think? Like, why are we in this position right now? Why is it? I mean, I feel like game releases have been so like hot and heavy on other platforms for a while, and obviously Nintendo had Pikmin and Zelda in the last couple months. But are we finally just getting to like a little bit of a breathing point, or I guess maybe it's still a crazy release schedule for other platforms right now?
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate just came out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe it is just Nintendo. Maybe it's kind of this shift to the next generation weirdness. Maybe it is like there was such a backlog from COVID that we're shaking out into like what a normal 7th year for a console would be.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, I mean that is a great point. Like thinking about the final year or so of the Wii, and just being like, yeah, there was Skyward Sword and like kind of nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's just what we're being hit with, and that it's been such a good time with the with Nintendo games that seeing any kind of lapse like this or like empty period, it's weird to me how like there is this like boom and bust cycle with Nintendo, right? Even like micro cycles. Like I think about how the end of 2019 was like a new first party Nintendo game like every month, or even more frequently than that, and then like 2020 is like Animal Crossing and nothing for the rest of the year, and part of that is COVID, and part of it is just like they probably didn't have that much else ready to go anyway, even though they do have stuff ready to go, and they just hold it from us forever. So I don't know the point I'm making here. But
well, also, I mean, another thing to consider is that neither of us has spent time with like Pikmin 4, and that just released just a couple of weeks ago.
That's
Do you know
true.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like
I got to get back to Pikmin 4.
They did have a big, like, in relative terms, like release. Just you and I haven't really engaged with it for whatever reason.
I mean, I've engaged with it some. I bought it.
Yeah, I bought it too.
I played the demo all the way through, and then I did one whole day after that. Look, as soon as I can slam full speed into the earth,
I think your life will change.
I think my life will change for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, let's close out the new releases. which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I'll talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, you've come with a prompt today.
Yeah, today we're going to be doing a horse quiz from BuzzFeed. Most people can surprisingly score at least 4 out of 10 on this horse quiz. Let's see if you can.
Most people can surprisingly score at least that?
I guess maybe it's hard questions.
But it's surprising that people can get like a bad failing grade on it at least.
That's a good point. Is it surprising that people are doing so well or surprising that people are doing so bad? Like, is it a hard horse quiz and so it's like, wow, I can't believe people got 4 out of 10? Or is it an easy horse quiz and it's like, wow, I can't believe people got 4 out of 10?
Read the headline again.
Most people can surprisingly score at least 4 out of 10 on this horse quiz. Let's see if you can.
I feel like surprisingly should not be in there at all. Yeah, okay, let's do it.
How can you tell a horse's age? By their teeth, by their feet, by their mane, or by their tail?
Well, mane and tail are both hair, right? So
probably not
that.
Yeah,
you can just just jokes were running through my head. So like, cut it open and count its rings. Ask it for its ID.
Sadly, none of those are answers.
Okay, all right.
So never look a gift horse in its mouth. It implies that you can see like
teeth,
like at least health by its teeth.
Yeah.
So maybe that's how you can tell its age. Receding gum line, maybe.
Maybe you could ask what the first record it bought was. Like what the first
if
CD
this
it
horse
bought?
was Mr. Ed, which they haven't clarified that this isn't Mr. Ed. So for our purposes,
so we would just ask him.
We would just ask Mr. Ed. But given that we can't,
go with teeth.
We'll just go with teeth, which is correct.
All right, great. We did it.
I feel like surprisingly we might be able to get 4 out of 10. Whether that's a good surprise or bad surprise.
Hey, we only surprisingly need 3 more to get there.
How can you spot lameness in a horse? Now, in this one, Patrick, they're right there with you. When it's boring.
You ask it what its first CD was.
Exactly. When it's all.
If
when
it says, "What's the story, Morning Glory?" You're like, okay, lame-o.
When it's boring, when it's always tired, when its gait is affected, and when it doesn't eat.
I would say when its gait is affected,
I think
right?
you're right.
Isn't that the definition of lame?
I believe you're correct, and I know you're correct because I just selected that, and that was the right answer. How can you tell when a horse is happy? Its eyes and tail are relaxed. Its back foot is propped up slightly. I don't think that's true. It's running and bucking around. No. It neighs not loudly. I would also...
Yeah, probably. It seems relaxed.
Yeah, that seems fair. And we're correct. But also, apparently its back foot is propped up slightly is a sign of it being happy. Either one would be correct.
There were 2 correct answers here?
Yeah. Surprisingly, there were 2 correct answers.
Okay, that is genuinely surprising.
Yeah.
However, it's making it less surprising that people can get at least 4 of these right.
Yeah. Agreed. What do you usually measure a horse's height in? Feet, centimeters, hands, or kilometers? It's hands. Well, measured in hands.
It can't be kilometers.
Right, yeah. Well, it could be.
No, that's insane.
It would just be a small...
It's a 0.001 kilometer horse. Actually, that's way too small.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the what?
It's hands. Just trust me, it's hands.
Oh, okay.
You measure a horse in hands. A height in hands, yeah. We're correct.
That's stupid. Why do we do that?
I feel like it's like a old-timey thing.
It's like a biblical thing, right? Let's measure them in
Sure.
cubits. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, Noah was probably measuring all the animals in hands. That seems right.
The only reference point anyone has for cubits.
I just want to check in here and make sure that
we've gotten 4 questions right.
We've hit the 4, and I believe we have.
Yeah.
Horse's age, yes. Lameness, yes. Happy, yes. And then measure, yes. So do we just stop? We surprisingly...
I mean, we're about to get a surprise from our pianist friend over here.
Okay, well then I guess we'll never know.
I mean, start the next question.
Oh, sure. What is a horse's typical gestation period? 6 months, 11 months, 1 year, 2 years.
11. Would you say 11 months?
That is an option, yeah.
11 months.
And you're right.
Hey, there we go. Surprisingly, we got more. We're regular horse experts, Mark, I would say. We were accompanied today by pianist Kyle Shaw. All right, Mark, let's get into the news. I gotta say, it was not surprising at all that we got those questions right. Right?
But maybe the surprise is that people are not getting more questions correct.
But it said at least.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I sure. How do they know the success rate before they publish the quiz?
Maybe not on. Maybe like outside of the BuzzFeed website, they administered
Just
this quiz.
yeah.
They administered this quiz at like a school or something,
Right.
and then or like on a competing website.
Sure. Okay. So right, they're testing out these quizzes in third grade classrooms and Sporkle, and then they bring them over to BuzzFeed.
Right.
Okay.
And they were surprised that those third grade classrooms in Sporkle. What is Sporkle?
Sporkle is it's like a quiz site where it's like name as many Simpsons characters as you can.
Oh, okay.
And then you just like type them, and it just like slowly fills it in and like keeps track of how long it takes you to do it.
Oh, okay. So an example here would be like, give me as many like ways to show that a horse is lame as possible.
Sure.
And you'd have to like fill that out.
That's right.
And it keeps track of how long
What's
it takes.
the story,
you.
Morning Glory?
Well, this morning, probably after you've or before you've listened to this episode, there was a Pokemon Presents at 6 a.m. Pacific time. And we'll be covering any interesting news coming out of it probably next week.
Yeah, Pokemon Presents usually not occasion enough for us to record a whole episode about it. This one is going to be a longer,
long,
where it's like 40 minutes, something like that.
35 to 40, something like that.
My expectation is a release date for the Scarlet and Violet DLC, the first chunk of it. And then, like I said, like 3.5 year anniversaries for a lot of mobile games.
Yeah. Just kind of funny that like last week we reported that there was maybe going to be a Pokemon Presents today because of it was included in the like code for an update to Pokemon Masters. So we seems like there's definitely going to be something coming to Pokemon Masters EX.
Right. Well, the 3.5 year anniversary.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's do you don't ever like wake up for these things or like try to watch them live or anything?
No,
right?
I don't think so. And I don't think I will for this one.
So I'm a dumb sucker and an idiot, so I'm gonna watch this thing live. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow morning. I mean, I probably will be awake already, but I'll turn YouTube on and
well, yeah, if you're already awake,
it. Yeah.
And you can chat about it with folks in the Discord.
I'll chat about it with folks in the Discord. You could be in that Discord chatting about it with me as I say dumb things about Pokemon because I don't get them.
Last week, Nintendo released their latest financial results through June 30th of this year. So, kind of big headline, Tears of the Kingdom has sold 18.51 million copies as of the end of June. So, like, in, 6 weeks or something.
Which is a lot of games. It makes it the second best-selling Legend of Zelda game ever.
Yeah, just behind Breath of the Wild, which is at 30.65 million. So, Tears of the Kingdom in 6 weeks has sold more than half of what Breath of the Wild sold in its entire 6 or 7 years on the market.
Right, and Breath of the Wild has been for sale since the Switch came out, and I mean, do you remember that in the days after the launch of the Switch, that the attach rate for Breath of the Wild was over 100%? That they had sold more copies of Breath of the Wild for Switch than they had Nintendo Switches?
That's so crazy. Well, I guess, that is so crazy. Do you think people were buying it in preparation? Because Switches were hard to get for a little bit in the beginning.
Yes.
So do you think people were buying it in preparation
Absolutely.
for getting a Switch?
Well, so I think two things were happening. One is that people were buying collector's editions and then also getting a digital copy to actually play, and leaving the collector's edition sealed. And then I think absolutely people were buying the game knowing that when they did get their hands on a system, they would be able to play it right away. That was my experience with Twilight Princess. I had gone to the Best Buy or the Target or whatever, hoping to get a Switch or hoping to get a Wii, and they had no Wiis. But I was like, well, I'll pick up Zelda because I know I'm gonna play Zelda, and then I'll just have it. So I was contributing to that kind of number, 15 years ago. I expect that's just what happened here again.
Breath of the Wild has had so many years to get to like 30.65 million copies sold. Do you think Tears of the Kingdom will surpass Breath of the Wild?
Well, I mean, it's strange, right? Because like it didn't do 30 million right away, right? It did basically as many Switches were sold, right? Like, and then just grew with the Switch install base for years and years and years.
Yeah, as people picked up Switches, it was just a natural game to pick up.
Right.
Not as natural as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but
No, well, no, and and yeah, exactly, or eventually as natural as Animal Crossing, right? But still, like one of the highest selling games on the Switch and the best selling game in the franchise. I just like whether or not Tears of the Kingdom will be able to get there. Depends entirely on how long the Switch is an active platform, and I mean Switch as sort of generalized, right? Like whatever comes next, is it a continuation of that same ecosystem? And will you be able to play Tears of the Kingdom on the new system? Because like if not, then it'll just be the Switch swan song and still probably sell 25 million copies. But like it took a long time to get to 30, I guess is all I'm saying.
yeah, I think that it but I think you're right. I think it totally depends on what the next Nintendo hardware looks like, and if it is what I like, kind of if it works how I expect it to work, where these games will be backwards compatible. Because we're not going to get, in my mind, like it took how many years for us to get Tears of the Kingdom after Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
And that was like a direct sequel. So to my mind, we are in a long wait for the next Zelda game.
Unless they've been working on it, which is totally possible, right? That like they got because Tears of the Kingdom has been in quality control for or had been in quality control for over a year when it came out. So like if you put the quality control people on that, and then like like you can start developing the next Zelda game after, and
Yeah,
like
that's true.
but it's I mean the next Zelda game, what is that going to be? Is that going to be another one of these style games, or
Well, and that's what Aonuma, right, made it sound like. Like,
Yeah.
this is like the template for them going forward. And of course, I think we'll get other Zelda games between now and whatever the next, like, mainline headline Zelda game is.
Totally.
Um, but but yeah, I think Tears of the Kingdom, it has the potential to sell like Breath of the Wild did for like 6, 7, whatever years until the next big thing, next big Zelda game comes out.
Even though it sold faster, right? Like but there are just more Switches. So like it becomes this like uncomparable thing, right? We'll get to the number in a second here, but we'll just throw it out now. The Switch has almost sold 130 million
Right.
units at this point. So like it has a huge install base. It's the third best selling piece of hardware of all time, right behind the DS and the PlayStation 2. And that's the reason why everything wherever possible is going to be coming to Switch, right? Like it's just, and we did we mention it last week, or was it just in conversation between the two of us that like the new Star Wars Jedi Survivor game is going to be ported to previous generation consoles. We don't have any word about whether it's coming to Switch yet. In fact, they didn't say Switch when they said PS4 and Xbox One.
Yeah, right now we have no reason to think it will.
We have no reason to think it will at this point, but the fact that they are like, we need to tap these enormous markets that exist, and make sure, because the game was originally just on new generation hardware, which meant that it's a limited pool that they're selling into. And like I think the fact that the number is just too big to ignore at this point, right? So this is all me just like circling the thing to be like, I don't think that Nintendo can leave this ecosystem. Like,
right, or why would they want to?
Why would they want
like
to?
what really is like the benefit to them at this point? But yeah, I mean, I think what I suspect is that the next Nintendo hardware is going to be backwards compatible with Switch games, and maybe they go the route of selling, like like what do they call like the PlayStation when you can buy an upgrade for PlayStation 5? Like maybe you can do right, like so the game has better like textures and runs like performance and stuff like that.
Yeah, quicker load times.
Yeah, and so maybe they go that route as a way to say like, oh yeah, like you can play Tears of the Kingdom on the next Nintendo hardware, and if you give us $20, it like has 4K textures or whatever it is. But I think that Tears of the Kingdom is set up to be the next Breath of the Wild, where it could continue selling for like years and years and years until the next headline Zelda title, because I don't think they're going to do anything to like cut its knees off where it's like, oh,
right.
The new hardware is out and you're not able to play Tears of the Kingdom on it.
I mean that makes sense to me that they would put it. Well, that doesn't. I mean, saying that like I'm sure that Nintendo will put out a version of Tears of the Kingdom on whatever they put out next. That's so unlike them. That's like a Sony thing. That's a Microsoft kind of thing to be like, oh yeah, and here's the like patch so it runs better. Nintendo's always just kind of like, play it where you play it. Like,
but they've never
had something.
This would be a whole
yeah.
like new scenario.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still the best-selling Switch game.
Yes.
It's like 55.46 million.
It sold over 1 million copies in the last quarter.
yeah. And
they showed a slide of Nintendo's million-plus sellers, and it was just Tears of the Kingdom and Mario Kart 8
How
Deluxe.
crazy that like every quarter,
yeah,
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just continues to sell over 1 million copies.
Yeah, it's like why ever put out a Kirby game again?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like Nintendo's Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
Like, it just continues
to
just sell more and more and more.
The scale is a little different there, though, because Grand Theft Auto 5 has sold so many copies.
Sure, yeah. And it's been on, like, how many platforms at this point? Whereas, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just on Switch. But that's still over 10 million higher than
180 million units for Grand Theft Auto 5. Does that even seem possible?
That's unreal.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
That's 3 times Mario Kart plus 30. It's 3 times Mario Kart plus Breath of the Wild.
But like, how many platforms has it been on now?
I mean, it started on PS3,
right,
and then 4, and then 5, and then all of the other. But it's never been on Switch.
Never been on Switch. But yeah, so Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is sold over 10 million copies more than the number 2 title, which is Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Which is not to discount Animal Crossing New Horizons' incredible sales of over 40 million copies.
Yeah.
An insanely high peak for that series.
And then Switch has sold, like you mentioned, almost 130 million, 129.53 million.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Nintendo had their best first quarter results ever, thanks to Tears of the Kingdom and the Super Mario Brothers movie, which also came out in the first quarter.
Right. And yeah. And we you and I were kind of like tracking to that as it was happening, right? Of like, man, what a crazy year, but just like what a crazy like period of like 6 weeks where they had both those things come out in rapid succession and just sort of like dominate the conversation. Yeah, it makes me wonder when we're going to see another movie from Nintendo.
Right.
Or even hear anything about one.
Right.
Well,
especially with like the writer's strike and the actor's strike going on right now, it feels like it will be a while until
we may never see movies again. We may be
just
done with
re-releases of Jaws for all eternity.
I mean,
speaking of, you were mentioning, hey, there's these platforms, why are we ignoring them? Rockstar is bringing the original Red Dead Redemption to Switch and PlayStation 4.
Yes.
Later this month. It releases August 17th digitally and physically on October 13th for $49.99 in the United States.
Now, there's no reason to bring this to the Xbox One because through backwards compatibility, it's already playable.
And I think it's one of those like enhanced versions.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
But Red Dead Redemption, originally released in 2010, this version will include the bonus content from the Game of the Year edition and the Undead Nightmare DLC, but it doesn't have any of the multiplayer content. And looking at some comparisons video, it does have some small visual improvements over like the Xbox 360 version.
Mm-hmm.
So like the lighting is better, some of the textures are improved, but really it seems like a pretty bare bones port to those systems. But I mean, like you were saying, you can't deny 100 million, 30 million user base,
Right.
and same with like PlayStation 4.
Was is also sold exceptionally well. Yeah.
And if the like lengths you have to go to port one to the other, like whether the PlayStation 4
Right.
is the lead port and it's easy to port to Switch or vice versa, obviously it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, uh, what do you make of the numbers involved here? Because August 17th, so soon, not giving us a lot of like runway on from announcement to release, and then $50 for the price tag.
Yeah, so I feel like with something like this, there's not really a need for a huge like marketing runway.
That's true.
Like
It is already Red Dead Redemption.
yeah, my guess is that their expectations are fairly reasonable for
Right.
something like this.
Right.
But for the $50, like, is it worth it? It's kind of hard. I feel like any of these ports are for people who game on Switch and don't have like other systems. Like you can't pick it up on Xbox, One, because
Well,
you don't have an Xbox. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do
Although
know
I
what
guess
you
it's
mean.
portable.
Yeah, well, it's portable, and B, like the fact that it's on, because otherwise you have to go back to PS3 or Xbox 360, and mind you, Xbox 360 sold incredibly well, and by the end, so did the PlayStation 3. But like those just aren't pieces of hardware that people have like active in their homes, right?
Well, Xbox, didn't we say it's on Xbox One?
Yeah, that's
through
true.
backwards
The Xbox
compatibility?
thing is, yeah, that's true.
But yeah, but like, and I guess if it's on PlayStation 4, you can play it on PlayStation 5,
Yeah,
right? It's just
absolutely.
not like enhanced for PlayStation 5 or anything.
Right.
So,
yes. But the version that originally came out was on PS3.
right, because I remember buying it for PlayStation 3 and playing it.
Did you play?
Or
Red
maybe
Dead?
I definitely played it, or I rented it through GameFly or something at the time.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a Redbox rental or something.
But yeah, definitely played it on PlayStation 3. I spent so much time in the first area just like skinning coyotes for like trophies that I got burned out on it pretty quickly. But I did play it on PlayStation 3, and it's a cool game. I don't really have any desire to pick it up on Switch and like play through it again.
Right, especially not for $50.
Yeah.
What's weird is they did this the Grand Theft Auto 3 trilogy like remaster a couple years ago.
Oh right.
And that didn't come to Switch. But it was also like kind of a broken.
Did it not? I thought it did come to
Did
Switch.
it come to Switch?
I think it did.
Well, maybe it did. Yeah, I don't know. We did. If we talked about it, I think at the time I was just like, "Oh, I'm never gonna play this anyway." But like it had some of the same problems that like the Nintendo 64 games were experiencing when they were first coming to Switch, of like the eliminating fog when like because now we can actually generate these draw distances, and but like the fog is frequently an artistic choice, and blah 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 blah. What have you found?
It 100%. It's available on Switch. Yeah, the
Great.
Grand Theft Auto trilogy.
Well, then whatever they saw the results of that and were like, well, now Red Dead's got to come out on this thing too.
Also, it's probably like a third-party company that they like either farmed it out to or approached them and were like, "Hey, do you want us to do this?
Yeah,
like we can do this."
I mean, it's a fair point, and also like there's just so long between Rockstar releases that like because Red Dead Redemption 2 was how long ago?
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah, and then like when is Grand Theft Auto 6 gonna come out? Nobody knows.
Yeah,
So, yeah, they got to put out these re-releases and ports and stuff.
Back in March, Nintendo took down the multiplayer servers for the original Splatoon and Mario Kart 8 on Wii U for, quote, emergency temporary maintenance related to a serious exploit that was found in various Switch, 3DS, and Wii U games. Most of the Switch and 3DS games were patched long ago, but only now are the Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon multiplayer servers back online as of August 3rd.
Which I was always kind of like, well, wait, what's the security exploit that if you can't buy anything on your Switch or on your Wii U or 3DS anymore, like who cares about the security? I mean, maybe it still has like your credit card information saved on there somewhere, and that could be. I'm just trying to like get to like what could be attacked,
Right? Like, what's the end game for like a hacker who was using
Who's
like using this exploit to take control of your system. Yeah, I don't.
I'm just
really
looking
know.
for ideas. I know there's a vulnerability, and I'm just like, what can I do?
Oh yeah, I mean, we should just be super clear. If anybody has like low-level internet scams that we can get in on the ground floor on,
yeah,
like we're super into that.
We want on, and this one has just been taken away from us. So, whatever you can, please get that to us. It's cool that they are, like still into like supporting these, at least in like a bare bones kind of way.
It's nice that it didn't just like go away forever,
right?
Which
was a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, remember when the Wii like eShop went offline or something not that long ago for like mysterious reasons? I mean, maybe it was this same reason.
Yeah, and I don't think it was because the Wii eShop has been dead for a long time, but.
There's like something that was like similar to this.
There was something like this, and now I don't remember.
I don't remember the details either.
Mark, I just don't remember.
A past episode for sure, we talked about it.
Oh yeah, in a previous episode we remember and we got the information right in front of us. It's just not this episode.
Yeah, that's right. Finally, the 2023 Switch eShop multiplayer sale is happening right now in North America through August 20th at midnight Pacific time. Some good deals on some games here. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga Deluxe Edition is $23.09 versus the usual $70.
Gotta say, it makes me feel stupid for buying the original for $60.
I mean, that's true for waiting long enough for any game. Yeah.
There are a lot of Nintendo first-party multiplayer games on here, including like all of the sports games. So golf, strikers, and tennis are all $41.99. They're normally $60.
Yeah, Snipper Clips, an oldie but goodie, is down to $13.99 and the bundle is like $20.98 versus $30.
And I know that's a bundle that I picked up, or like the DLC that I picked up.
I know, but I can't remember ever playing it. Yeah, and I love Snipper Clips.
I love Snipper Clips too.
Those naughty little papers cutting each other.
What? Why have we not seen more of those naughty little papers?
It was so good. I love
that game.
They're
so good.
Tetris Effect Connected is $19.99 versus $40. Them's Fightin' Herds, $10 versus $20.
Yeah. And
one that is on my wish list that maybe I'll pick up is We Love Katamari Reroll plus Royal Reverie Special Edition. I loved the Katamari Damacy reroll that came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
And this one I've been keeping my eye on, so maybe I'll pick it up at this price.
This like looking through the list of games here, like I'm just so easily tempted into like games that are on sale for you know what I mean? Like I'm just so tempted by this kind of stuff. What was I looking at before that? I was like, yes, I absolutely need to get that. I mean, the Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition is $42. That's a good deal on that.
It Takes Two is one that I've been interested in playing, and that's $30 versus the 40 regular. Yeah, I totally know what you mean. These
Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 is $10. River City Girls is $15. Yeah, that Spiritfarer game is down to below $8.
Oh, right. That's one that I picked up when it came out, and it's so critically acclaimed, but I was just not in a headspace to be able to enjoy it.
Right. And that's important. And then, of course, Sushi Striker.
Yes.
Down to $35. Look, it's I was thinking the other day about we were talking about like where do all these Nintendo franchises go next time, right? Like Kart, you got to do something different. Like you could just put out another Kart, but like what does it have? 32 tracks? Like what is that? That's nothing now. And ditto with like Smash, right? And I was like, if they had to do a Super Smash Brothers game where they did no repeat characters, no characters that had been in Smash.
Ooh, that is before. A fun exercise.
And maybe we should do that at some point. But that's when we're gonna get something like the Sushi Striker guy. So brush up on these characters,
yeah, especially
now,
if
everybody.
Like trophies are off limits.
Oh,
then we're really like dredging the rivers of Nintendo, like past to dig up the corpses of like the Sushi Striker kid.
I mean, honestly though, I think it would be a fun. The trophies thing might be prohibitive to a point where like it'd be impossible. Like the assist trophies, right?
Right. Yeah.
But like I think it would be very cool if they were like, no. This one is just it's a Smash Brothers game with no playable characters that have been playable in the series before.
That's madness, and I love it so much.
Look, it's the only way we're gonna get Paper Mario in a Smash Brothers game, and quite frankly, the only thing I care about, getting to see Rusty
Duking it
Slugger.
out.
Yeah.
Rusty would totally have like the weight of a Little Mac, but not
Yes.
the speed.
No. Do you think they would put Rusty Slugger in the game, or those like ultra machine headed?
I think the ultra machine headed like Nightmare Fuel would be like assist trophies. That'd be his final smash. It's
Right.
just like those like target enemies and just like pummel them with baseballs.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. So see, this is what happens. What has to happen next is something weirder, and that's the only place we have left to go. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. You, of course, are benefited by the fact that a Pokemon Presents is out right now. I wish we could talk about it, Mark, but we probably never will. You should join our Discord where we will be talking about it. Email us Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com and we will send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.